All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I'm playing around in the HTML sandbox. All right, we've just created a table, and tables should only be used for tabular data. Notice if I remove the border from here, to me, makes it harder to notice that really that it's a table. It still is. All right, it's still formatted. But to me, it doesn't look as nice. So almost always when I create a table, I do add in the border equal 1. Because again, I just think that that looks much more like a table. All right. Now, don't worry about things like you may say, well, why isn't that bolded, etc. We're going to get to that stuff later. All right. But what I want to do is quickly go over the elements of the table. All right. In fact, let's see if we can do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to keep that open, and I'm going to keep the table open so we can go back and forth between them. So table border equal 1, put the border around everything in the table. The caption, my favorite, and it should have said my favorite cookie. And you see it now. All right, there was the caption. Then we had two headings, cookie name and cookie type. And those went up here. All right. Then we had the body of our table. And there's no footer for the table, as you can see, but the body is where all this information is. So when we had the heads, the way that this is broken up with T head and T body, etc., I put that in there again because that helps for accessibility, especially for people who are sight impaired. All right, we want our tables to be as accessible to everyone as possible, and this will help do that. So we broke it into a T head and a T body section. In my head, I had rows. TR are table rows. All right, so I have only one row. Each row has two actual headings in it, or the one row, cookie name and cookie type. All right, then we've got the body section. So T body is our table body. And again, notice I've got a table row, and it's got both a name, a cookie name, Chips Ahoy, and a cookie type, chocolate chip cookie. And again, name, type, name, type, name, type, name, type. So that's what we have in there. Then we finished with our ending table tag. All right. All right. Let's come in here and put in an H3 tag. And we're going to say here, want to find out more? Contact us today. All right, so now we've got this. Want to find out more? Contact us today. And I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come in this site that we have. And it's not formatted or anything at all, and it's totally fine. All right, I'm going to put in what's called an HTML form. So that'll go right here. Now, a couple things with a form. Typically, you put in what's called an action tab, and I'll say action equals. And that is, if you've got a submit button on your form, where do you want the form to go when it's all done? Well, we don't want it to go anywhere. So we're just going to put in a hashtag right there. All right. Then we've got something that says method equals. If you are just bringing up a form for somebody to look at, you would say get right there. If you actually want to send information someplace, which is probably what we'd want to do, we choose post. All right. So we've got all that. And I'm going to put in here the following stuff. And don't worry, I'm going to remove this right away, but I'm going to have first name, last name, address, city, state, zip. We'll just leave it at that. So those are going to be my elements. And I'm going to break this up into a couple of different areas. So I'm going to type in here. Let me get rid of all this stuff that I just put in. I'm going to put in what's called a legend. And it'll have inside of it what's called a field set. All right. And that will say name information. All right. If you say, I don't know what this is, just please bear with me for a minute, okay? So I'm going to put in a label. 4 equals first name. First name. Input type equals text. ID equals first name. Name equals first name. All right, I'm going to copy these lines, whoops, these 2 lines here, if I can grab them. Try it again. And add last name. Again, this will not be formatted, and don't worry about that. But with what we've got so far, let's take a quick look. So it says name information. You can see how big that is. That looks terrible. First name, last name. Okay. Actually, I want to cut this down right here. So I'm going to show you a little cheat in here, which you shouldn't do, but I'm going to do it just for now. I'm going to say style equals, style equals with, let's say, 33%. See if that made it look a little nicer. Okay, yeah, it looks nicer. All right. Now, after this field set, I want there to be a blank line, so I'm going to put a BR tag in here, and after the first name, I want there to be a BR tag. That looks a little nicer. So there's our name information, first name, last name. All right. And I'm going to even put another BR tag in here. All right. Then I'm going to copy everything I just put in. I know that looks a little stupid, but bear with me for a sec if you would. And we're going to change this to city-state zip. And in fact, after the last name, we'll put in, again, another couple of line breaks. All right, so city-state zip. So this will be city. This will be state. Oops, that was wrong. That should have stayed city. This will be state. And lastly, this will be, I'm just going to call it zip, and we'll have it say zip code. All right, let's admire our handiwork here. So now we've got this. Name, city, state, zip code. I'll need to add a line break there, but not looking terrible. It's not looking great, but it's not looking terrible either. I spelled zip wrong, but that's again fine. Remove that. And after our state, so let's see what it's looking like now. Okay. Again, not formatted really, but it doesn't look terrible either. I'm going to do one last thing because I want this to stand out that it is a form. So in my form here, I'm also going to add to this style equals border 2 pixel solid red. Colon expected. I don't know if it's gonna, if I put something in wrong there. I don't think I did. There we go. All right, now let's look again. And you'll notice this all has a big border around it. Okay, all right, that looks okay. Except again, I'm going to say with 50%. Again, you'll see what that does in just a minute. And let's put another line break in here. Okay, so there is our form. Want to find out more? Contact us today. Name information, city, state, zip. All right, and at the very bottom, we're again going to put in a couple line breaks. All right, and after our legend, because I'm going to go over all of this in just a minute, we're going to put a button in there. Type equals submit. ID equals submit. Name equals submit. I think we can put it here. We'll just say submit right there. And again, we'll put in 2 line breaks. And let's see if our form is done. Yeah, it is. Now, a couple things. First of all, you can see I made that pretty wide. I can cut that down probably to about, I don't know, 35% or whatever, which is totally fine. But what I want you to understand is, first of all, and I'm going to go over every line of this. This was the H3 tag I put in that said, want to find out more, contact us today. So that's the first time. Then I decided to draw a box around the form so it stood out so you could see everything I was doing. And I did that by adding what's called some inline CSS. And CSS is what we're going to talk about tomorrow. But I said, hey, I want to add some styling to this. Okay, and that's what's in here. I want there to be a border around it. I want it to be 2 pixels in width. I want it to be solid, and I want it to be red. So if I wanted it to be blue, for example, I would just put in blue there. And I want the width of this, let's cut it down to about 40%. See if that looks nicer. Okay, and there it is. Looks like I can even cut this down more. Okay, there you go. This is a fully working functional form. I can come in here and I can put in my name, Jeff. All right, Wentzville, city, state, zip. I didn't put a thing in there for address. I could add that if I wanted to. If I click submit, it's not going to go anywhere right now because I told it not to go anywhere, which is fine. And again, just to show you, I can go back in here and where I put all my stuff, there was my city, state, zip. Let's change this to address, city, state, zip. And let's add here address. Oops. Address, address, and address. All right. And I save and come back and once again open this up in live server. And now I've got address, city, state, zip. All right. I could do whatever I wanted to do as far as make these wider. I could, etc. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff that we can do. You'll notice that these are now each on their own line. It's because I cut down the width of this. If I go back and set the width again, let's just set the width back up. Instead of making it 30%, let's make it try 35. And that didn't change much, so let's try it 40. Oops. It still isn't. I don't know if I put these each on their own line. Did I do that? Yep, we put a line break after those. No, we didn't. Try one more time. Let's make it 50. I guess that's what it was to begin with. Just want to show you. Oh, I'm not sure why. But the point is, take a look at it. It doesn't look great, but I want to point out a few things here. Again, this is the form. I put in some inline CSS to put a blue border around it. I put in a legend right here that said name information. Okay, boom. Now, there's nothing wrong with what I did, but I believe for that legend, I should have taken my ending legend tag that we put in here. Let's see, first name, last name, it is right. Trying to remember if I did it backwards or not, so let's see. As I always do, I'll turn to the old W3 schools in here. So W3 schools, legend. All right, you put the legend in the field set inside of it, or is it backwards? You put the field set and then the legend, so I did it backwards. All right, so let's move all of these over. So where this says name information, that's where my field set should end. My legend should end. And this is where my field set should end. Now let's see if it looks a little better. And I'll fix the other one as well. All right, don't worry about that. That's totally fine. All right, so there's the box. I got to make that wider. That's totally okay. All right. So let's bump this up to 60%. All right. And we're going to do the same thing over here. In other words, we're going to put in our field set. Don't worry, I'm going to get rid of that. Our legend again inside. And that legend is what should say this is what should say name information. All right, so there's our field set. There's our legend. And then this should end our legend. Okay. All right, and that ends our field set. Then another field set with another legend, and that should say inside of it address, city, state, zip. It's getting there. And this should end our legend. Okay. Then we've got all of our labels again. Okay. Legend there. Go. Legend. And this should be our ending field set tag. All right, sooner or later, this thing is going to look the way I want it to look. All right, just about there. We have to take the form, let's make it 75%. All right, and after our legend, let's put in a line break. And let's look at it. All right. Like I said, it's just about there. Now, you might say, oh, this looks really ugly or whatever, and that's totally fine. All right, we're going to fix this right here. All right, I'm not going to put a width in here or in here. All right. Okay, that's just about there. Put another blank space there, and then we'll be ready to look at it. Okay, we don't need that. That's why that thing is showing. And let's put in a couple, again, a couple line breaks here. All right, this is the final form. Okay, there it is. Guess I could put a line break here, but you get the idea. So the legend, the field set is what we use to group information together like this. So that's the field set. All right. The legend is the title that we give it. So that's name information, that's address, city, state, zip, etc. All right. This is our first field. That's the label, and that's the text box. That's the label, and that's the text box. Then we have another field set. All right. And a label, text box, label, text box, label, text box, label, text box. We end that field set, and we've got a button. Okay. So make a couple more changes, and I mean just a couple. I'm manually putting some spaces in here by using a non-breaking space. 3 there, 3 there, 3 there, 3 there. I'm going to put in a couple line breaks here. All right, let's look at our handiwork here. So there it is. Now, it could be improved. Of course it could. All right, but I wanted to show you some of the things that you would put in here with this. Okay, so again, the form is in blue, and I put it in blue on purpose so it would stick out for you. All right, this first box around here, that's a field set. You don't have to have any field sets, or you can have multiple field sets. Ooh, I'm way over. All right, let's finish this up in the next lecture.